Good day. In this training video, we will have a high-level overview of the Accounts Payable Preferences form, and we will look at supplier classes and how this feature benefits the end user. Your accredited MYOB Advanced Consultant would have configured the Accounts Payable Preferences and supplier classes in your system according to your business requirements. Any changes to these settings should be discussed with your consultant first. Now, let's start with the Account Payable Preferences form. To open this form, we'll navigate from the Payables module and in the Preferences section, select Accounts Payable Preferences. We use this form to configure the Accounts Payable module. Settings defined on this form include numbering sequences for AP batches, AP bills, payments, and price worksheets. Some of the settings on this form, such as the numbering sequences, cannot be changed once production use has begun. We can select our preferred posting settings on this form. For example, select to automatically post batches on release. The aging schedule for accounts payable are set up in the aging settings section on this form. By setting up 3 aging periods, we can improve cash flow projections and risk assessments. On this form, we can also specify the supplier class we would like to default when adding a new supplier. Which brings us to our next point, supplier classes in MYOB Advanced. A supplier class is a group of suppliers that have similar properties. Supplier classes make it easier to create supplier accounts in the system by functioning as templates with settings of accounts of the class. When a user creates a supplier account, the user specifies the class and the system inserts the information from the specified supplier class into the appropriate boxes for the new supplier account. Let's navigate to supplier classes now. From the Payables module, in the Preferences section, select Supplier Classes. There must be at least one supplier class, which will be used by default, and thus should have the most general settings. In MYOB Advanced, we can define any number of supplier classes. Let's open the default supplier class. The General Settings tab holds the default settings for the country and tax fields. We can also specify the default financial settings such as the terms, payment method, cash account, payment by date, this is due date or discount date, and currency to be used in relations with suppliers of this class. On this tab, we can also specify the preferred print and email settings and default shipping terms. Let's say we would like the delivered at place shipping term to default for all our suppliers of this class. From the drop-down, select this option. On the GL Accounts tab, we can specify the default GL accounts and sub-accounts for the supplier class for payables, expense, discount, cash discount, prepayment, reclassification, PO accruals, and unrealized gain and loss. On this tab, the AP account and sub-account fields are the only 2 mandatory fields. The Attributes tab contains the list of supplier attributes associated with this class. An attribute is a quality or characteristic of the inventory item, project, opportunity, or other entity that gives your company more information. For example, some attributes might be product brand, manufacturer, and industry. We can select an attribute from the list of attributes defined in the system, or we can add new attributes by using the Attributes form. You'll find this form by navigating to More Items, Configuration, and select the Configuration tile. Then, from the Common Settings section, select Attributes. If we go through the current attributes, we will notice that we can specify what type of control should be used for each attribute. Let's go back to our supplier class now and select an attribute for this supplier class. Let's say we select industry as our attribute field, and in this case, make the field required. Now, on the suppliers field on the Attributes tab, industry will be listed as required for all suppliers linked to this supplier class, which we will see later on in the video. The Mailing Settings tab contains the list of the predefined mailings for suppliers of the class. Mailings are used to send electronic versions of documents by email to suppliers and company employees overseeing operations with suppliers of the class. Mailing settings specified here will be used as default values for mailings configured for particular suppliers. Now we can save our changes to the default supplier class. Let's say we want to add a new supplier. For this, we'll navigate to Payables, Profiles, Suppliers, and click on the Add New button. We will immediately notice the default supplier class on the General Info tab and the other fields on this tab populating according to the settings of our default supplier class. Remember that although these fields will be pre-populated with the default settings according to the supplier class, it can be changed on this form before saving. On the Payment Settings tab, the default payment settings are all populated according to the selected supplier class, and the same goes for the default settings on the Purchase Settings tab. Here, we will also now notice the shipping terms defaulted as Delivered at Place, in accordance with the settings we've saved earlier on for this supplier class. The Attributes tab has the industry attribute indicated as required, and the Mailing Settings tab populates the default settings according to the default supplier class. As you can see, loading a new supplier is made quick and easy with this great MYOB Advanced feature. Remember that the configuration for Accounts Payable Preferences and Supplier Classes would have been done by your MYOB Advanced consultant, and that any changes to these settings should be discussed with your consultant first. Please let us know with your feedback and join us again for more as we explore MYOB Advanced through our training videos. Thank you for watching.